Welcome home all. It's a Monday, and it is a Monday for 10 Minutes of Truth, almost exactly 2 weeks since the November 3rd election. Tomorrow will be exactly 2 weeks. And obviously we've had opportunity and time since then to fully get a grasp of where things are, where they stand. I don't think at this point that anybody with a rational bone in their body will cling to the belief that President Donald Trump has a leg to stand on or an iota of possibility with regards to maintaining or retaining the presidency. And that's pretty much done. I've seen that kind of take place over the course in media, in multimedia, in social media for the most part, and heard everything under the sun, and been lobbied and argued against or with hard by diehard Trump supporters, and hey, more power to you, more love for you. If you want to believe the tales that have been spun and the things that were said to make it a belief and a possibility, then again, more power to you, nothing but love for you. But reality is reality, and facts are stubborn things, as the homie Adams said. The reality is simple. It isn't going to change. No matter what is done between now and then, it will not change the staggering amount, the number that is on record now in terms of an Electoral College and a popular vote. So that's done. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about where we're at, this interregnum between an election loss and January 2021, and what goes on between now and that transition to a new presidency. And it is significant, more so than any interregnum and period of transition in our nation's history. I absolutely believe that. Again, reminder, I'm an old U.S. history teacher, know a little bit, not the most, but more than most. So it will be that significant because there are things that are being done and that are going to be done that have not been done before, and not for the positive, not in a good way for us as a country and as a people. So we're going to deal with that a little, and then we're going to bounce out, and there's your 10 minutes of truth. But first things first, and coloring all of this and making all of this significant, and I would definitely say that I don't think anybody would deny whether you're a diehard Trump supporter or a diehard anti-Trump supporter, and I fall into that category, the latter. No one will deny that clearly that the pandemic and the coronavirus had a massive influence and a massive taint on the election as a whole, if not for the whole, but definitely for President Trump and his supporters and the people that he might have gotten support from somewhere in the middle. And something, believe it or not, there is still a middle. There's a left and a right, but there's still a middle. And I dare say that if he had dealt with the pandemic in a much more aggressive and honest fashion, and yeah, I said honest because he lied over and over again about it, and he admitted to that, it's on record. If he had been honest about it up front and early, and if he had attacked it aggressively and not dismissed it, not tried to play it down in his own words, I always wanted to play it down, then I dare say that he may have retained the presidency. It's numbers, and you can't really forecast out, but no question that if he had been a better steward of the presidency and a better leader in terms of the government and a better carer as a leader for his people, us, the United States, and the nearly 250,000 people that have died and lost their lives since, then no question in my mind that his numbers would have been better during this election, if not just in the popular vote, then definitely and most likely, possibly the Electoral College as well, and in which case we'd be talking about another matter here. But having said that, let's get down to business and let's get into our numbers, and let's have our time here on 10 Minutes of Truth. Again, always telling you the truth. All right, let's get those numbers up, AP. So here we go. We are, and this is about where it's going to be by this time tomorrow and into the week. We are at 250,000 dead Americans. 250,000 dead Americans. That in and of itself is a staggering number. It is a number that has been normalized, and I hate even using those terms anymore. It's aggravating the hell out of me personally. But that is a massive number of Americans dead to one cause. Okay? And I'm not going to even play the game with those of you out there. Well, we lose people every day to car crashes. We lose people to cancer. Absolutely. You're correct. But if that's your defense for something that's indefensible, then in essence, you're indefensible. You can't defend yourself if that's your defense. And you can't defend this president if that's your defense. Because that's just stupid and you know it. That's about as simple as it gets. That's just stupid. Okay? This is something that, at the very least, if not preventable in full, could have been, again, minimized and brought down to a far lesser number with aggressive, proactive action early on in the pandemic. I know Billy bobbing and Mickey Mousing around with something that even the president acknowledged was 5 times deadlier than the flu and much, much more highly transmissible from person to person. So this number, to me, that's a history book number. And what's staggering and even more so ugly today is that that number is not shrinking. That number is not deteriorating. That number is not slowing down. Because the pandemic is spreading in a case as a whole for a country that is even uglier than any time that we've begun this process of dealing with the pandemic, because again, we are heading into winter, we are now, and we are heading into flu and cold season, which exacerbate the entire situation with the pandemic. And now we're looking at hundreds of thousands of new cases per day. We jumped from 10 million to 11 million cases within a span of 6 days. And no end in sight. Because the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is still the president for the next 60-something days. And as usual, for his entire presidency, he's not doing a damn thing about it. Not hard at work. Because that's his damn job. So, unemployment is beginning to settle back, but still bad, not good. As a whole, it's a not good number for any presidency, period, regardless of issue or calamity or catastrophe. In this case, a pandemic, a virus, the coronavirus. And then what I've always pointed to, because this is laughable to me, this is one of the things that I definitely agreed with and believe in when it came to the Republican Party and part of their platform, the national debt and fiscal responsibility. This right here, that's not fiscally responsible. This thing is moving up in ways faster than most people are not even willing to acknowledge. The number under Donald Trump is growing faster in national debt than any national debt for any president in the history of this country. And it's shattering this economy because of, coupled with, combined with the pandemic. And it's worse. We're looking at $27.258 trillion. And I got to do it. Millennials, here's the present for you. There's the present, millennials. And oh yeah, and you guys are responsible for it because you're the reason why this country's so screwed up. And we're going to give you this present, not president, we're done with that, but present. All right, let's go ahead and take those numbers off. Now let's get down to business here. Now I bring this up because Donald Trump is the man on the job. He is the president, at least for another 60-something days. Okay? And he has been the man on the job the entire time. And on his watch, and in my leadership world, if you're on watch, you're responsible. And I don't give a damn how many excuses or whining and complaining and crying you do. You're responsible. And if you didn't want it, and if you don't like it, and you don't like taking responsibility, you shouldn't have took the damn job. You should not have taken the damn job. You should have stayed on the sidelines crying and complaining. But when you step foot and you take that responsibility, that job, that leadership role, then you're responsible for what happens on your watch. Let's get that next image up. So let's get down to brass tacks and simple nuts and bolts. This is where we are as of today. The Electoral College number is 306 electoral votes for Joseph R. Biden and 232 electoral votes for Donald J. Trump. Okay? You can do your thing in the court, and by the way, the president's getting his ass kicked in the courts. They've won one case out of 24 so far in all of the battleground states. He's absolutely getting his ass kicked. It's about that simple, right? All right. So I'll use that ass-kicking comment a little bit more. I'm going to add to it because the president used it in one of his addresses at one of his rallies when referring to his Electoral College win in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. And the universe, the multiverse, and other alternate universes are not without their sense of irony. Why? Because his Electoral College win in 2016 was the exact same Electoral College number that he got his ass kicked by in 2020. Reiteration. Donald Trump called his 306 electoral win, or back in 2016, over Hillary Clinton with 232. He called that an ass kicking, a shellacking, a landslide. I'm going to agree with him for the sake of comity. Yes? I will agree with him. It was an ass kicking. So what do you call it when Donald Trump loses by the exact same number in the Electoral College, yet he lost by 2 million votes to Hillary Clinton? He called that an Electoral College ass kicking. Well, in 2020, again, the universe being what it is and having its sense of irony, Joe Biden kicked Donald Trump's ass 306 to 232. And in addition, he kicked his ass with the other foot too. Because the popular vote is in excess of 78 million Americans voting against the president. A spread of over 5.5 million people. The most massive amount of popular vote win in the history of this country. So yeah, let me agree with the president because I'm not wont to do so. But yeah, that's an ass kicking. That's a shellacking. That's a landslide. And a whole bunch of hyperbole more. Not as good as the president at it. It's not my cup of tea. But yeah, he got his ass kicked. Bad. About as bad as it gets. Let's go ahead and remove that because that is the state in which we are today. And I'm going to point out, go ahead and remove the image. That is where we are. And this show tonight, this 10 Minutes of Truth, is specifically geared toward you knowing the state in which we are as a country, as a voting electorate, as a populace, as a people. And knowing that the current president, Donald J. Trump, has over 60 days, over 2 months on the job. On the job. And instead of continuing to do his job, all we've got are complaints, lawsuits, crying, bitching, and moaning. That's where we're at. Refuses to concede, crying and complaining, trying to draw a narrative, talking about conspiracy theories, by the way, that are getting all thrown out in court. And basically being the greatest sore loser in the history of this country, if not on the face of the earth, current. Why? Is that hyperbole? Hell no, not even close. And I'm going to tell you why. Because we, as a people, as a country, are the most powerful country on the planet. We are the most watched country on the planet. We are the country most paid attention to on the planet. We are the country that most of the world follows. and adheres to, at least in terms of our democracy, our rule of law, our ability to get things done scientifically, medically, entertainment, you name it. That's us. So when something big happens in our country, it is writ large for the entire world. So, if you're a president of the United States, you have the biggest microphone, you have the biggest camera, you have the biggest stage on the planet. And if you prove yourself to be a loser like no other, if you prove yourself to be a sore loser, like we've never seen in the history of this constitutional republic, then by extension, ladies and gentlemen, you have made yourself, and continue to do so, you have made yourself into the biggest loser on the planet. Fact. It's all there on the table for you. Fact. So, in this last 60 days, I'm going to ask, I'm going to plead, I'm going to beg, not for the sake of entertainment or performative art, but for the simple fact that people are dying every damn day. Our national security is not secure. Our transition from one administration to another is not only in jeopardy, but in danger of setting up an incoming administration ill-equipped in terms of intel and transition to be able to run seamlessly and smoothly into a clean, efficient operation as a presidency. And he does it knowingly. And that's a problem for all of us. If you don't see that, you're too damn partisan. You're too damn far down your rabbit hole. Way too far. So, for this last 60 days, I'm asking the President of the United States, sir, with all due respect, and I actually mean it, please, take care of your damn people. Take care of your damn people. Get off your ass, get off the damn golf course, and start taking care of Americans. In addition, this is for all evidence, this was over the weekend, while the President was out golfing, while 1,000 Americans die every day, he had his people in the streets marching for him, cheering for him, loving him. And by the end of the night, it was no longer that. It ended up being what we would come to expect. Let's go ahead and get that image up as we wrap up here. There you go, the Million MAGA March. And logically, yes, I said logically, it ended in clashes, fighting, rioting. And no, it wasn't one-sided. It's both sides. It takes two to tango, left and a right. And this is what we have in the streets of America, right down to the last couple of months of this president's presidency. You have your people in the streets fighting with each other, hurting each other, damaging each other. While you, next image, are out on a damn golf course. Apropos, no? Coming into this presidency, leaving it the same way. Lazy, inept, uncaring, arrogant, and without a shred of leadership, and without a damn shred of decency when it comes to taking care of your people. You golf while people die. Again, apropos of the moment. That is who you are. And yet, I'll still ask you, in your 60-something days left, please do something. Help the incoming administration. Help get them a transition to vaccines soon. Take steps to make sure that we have security and safety into a new administration, and leave some shred of decency for yourself in terms of a legacy of your president. And I ask it sincerely, even while I watch you not give a damn. That is my 10 minutes of truth for you. Enjoy your week. I'll be back next week.